All right, guys, it's day 35. Everything is hooked up over here. So we got the 1500-watt inverter, 30 building wire to negative, 30 building wire positive to the 250 amp circuit breaker, resettable. So it's disconnected right now, obviously. Then it goes from the bottom down to positive. You can see my positive wires for the distribution 12 volt and for the solar panels are also on here. Both of them have breakers on them also. So those are both disconnected, but they're connected. I got some negative. That goes to the charge controller, the negative. I put this door on here. It's obviously not done. It's got to get trimmed and hinged. I mean, not hinged, but locked and all that. But this is basic, simple. I mean, it's going to get labeled just so it's even more simple, but I'm not an electrician, say that up front, but I did everything properly. I fused and put the breakers on the wires for lower than they can handle. So everything the wires can handle easily what they're running. So I have the 40 amp. This one goes to the charge controller, to the batteries. So the solar comes in and then it goes through this wire. This is an 80 amp breaker, and that goes to my distribution. This is an 85 amp distribution panel. So I used wire that could handle more than 85, and I put an 80 amp breaker in there. So, just so this is safe, the wire is safe, and the breaker is good. So 80 amp to the 85 amp panel to the 100 and whatever amp wire, and same type of deal for the batteries to the charge control. It's a 40 amp. I'm never going to use more than 40 amps. That's why I put the 40 amp breaker, but the wire can handle more than 40 amps. These are my negatives. I kind of just zip tied them just so they're nice and neat. This is a ground bus bar. This goes to a ground. Then this is all negative terminals. So I can put my 12 volt positive to a switch panel, and then all my negatives to the devices to the bus bar. So in between here, positive and negative for the 12 volt appliances, there'll be toggle switches. And that's simple and easy to understand. That's the whole system. So all my 12 volt appliances will be right from here to a switch, and they'll be grounded to this. Switches will probably be up here, panel of a whole bunch of toggle switches labeled, light this, pump, whatever. They'll go right to the ground, right to the positive, done deal. Obviously, you have to get ran to the appliances, but it'll be right simple right here. Everything will be done right here from positive and negative. I don't have to go from one side of the bus to the other side of the bus. And I kind of just gonna drill holes in the back of there, and all my negatives will just come from the back of this box right up. So this goes to my pump. That's a negative to another thing, whatever, forget what it was. Yeah, and then I'll put a little tag right here, labeled what they are. This is that, just so I know what everything is. If I have a problem with something, I can just go right to here and say, oh, this is negative pump. Unscrew it, take out the negative pump. Same type of deal for here. These are fused 15s, and then there's going to be 7.5s in between those. So whatever device needs a 15 or a 7.5 amp breaker, they'll go to those corresponding spots. And you see all of this is the same thing. This is the solar panels. This goes to my MC4 connections on the roof. It is 30 amp, because obviously this is a 30 amp charge controller. The panels are 400 watt panels. They put out roughly 6 amps when they're operating at full. So you're never going to come. People say, oh, it's 30. I heard people saying there's 33 amps or something for 400 watt panels. You're never going to come even close to 33 amps with 400 watt panels. You'd be lucky if you hit 25, 20, 22. I think 22 is like max. Yeah, 22 is max. I mean, most people are probably bringing them in full sun. You're probably bringing in like 15 amps. I mean, that's being lucky. Maybe 20 if you're real lucky. So everything is done properly. So as you can see, like this is all, I don't need that. Where's that one thing? Yeah, this one switch right here with those, I mean, I'm going to use it for something, but with these type of breakers, you don't even need it. Now watch this. So look, everything's hooked up. This is all hooked up. So if I want to turn on my charge controller, this goes from the batteries to the charge controller. You just hit the switch, watch. That's it. Charge controller comes on, it's connecting. Tells you all your stuff. This charge controller, it's on, everything's on. As soon as I want it to go off, I just hit the button. Boop, off. And that's it. All safely done. No need for any crazy big switches and stuff. This is it. This is all you need. That turns on, this turns on my distribution. If I pop that down, this becomes hot. All my appliances are hot. It's not on right now because I'm still running wires. The last thing I want to do is make that hot when I have loose wires. But this is fully set up. That's why I just hit that. This is all done. Batteries to the charge controller is done. If I was to plug in solar panels to the MC4 connectors right now and put them in the sun, my batteries would be charging. So everything's good to go. Happy about that. Shower's done. You can see it's all grouted, DeLorean gray, all sealed with the silicone. Shower is done. I can't find a hose that fits on this thing unless I order it. So I went to the store. Sorry, it's so bright in here. I can't see if you can see. But I'm using this pipe. It's going to go straight here. I just used this copper connector because I couldn't find a plastic elbow. So this thing fit like a glove. So I'm using, it's going to go from the gravity right around here to the copper connector. Fits in there like a glove, won't leak. Right from here to there. I'm going to shorten this pipe and slide this tank up so it only goes like that, a little bit over, and then this thing is like right here. So the tank, the edge of the tank will be like that. Then I'll put a little bit of support on there, bolt that thing down to the floor so it won't move, and that'll be good to go. So this is what I found that gives me a tight fit on everything. This fits tightly on there. This brass 1-inch brass connector fits inside this hose perfectly, like tight. You have to wiggle it on to get it on there, so there's going to be no leaks. And then it goes right from there, right to here, and it fits tight on there. There's no looseness. You have to slide it on really hard, put a clamp on there. So my gravity feed water will go right down there and right in, and it's just barely higher. The highest, one thing you guys want to pay attention to on the bus, where I put this outside water box as high as I could on the side of the bus. There's molding right there on the outside of the bus. So it is literally like, you guys saw it in the last video. It's like as high as I can go. And it's barely higher than my spout. You know, obviously a gravity feed water, you know, the pour port has to be the highest point in the system. Otherwise you're going to be pouring in and it's going to be falling on your shoes. But, so it's barely higher. It's about 2 inches higher, which is fine. So it'll go down there and it'll go right inside the tank. Got the breather. The breather is on. Breather valve. This is to my city hookup, which I'm probably not even gonna. I'm gonna hook it up, but I'm not gonna use. Obviously, not probably gonna use that. Now I'm starting to do the pump, and because I want to get this water tank done today, and then I want to test out the shower. That's what I want to do. You can see, like, in an effort to seal that up, you can see I did the top. You guys remember what it looked like, but now that's all sealed. Now I'm filling in this back area, and I'm gonna finish that off and seal that, and then I'm gonna do the fiberglass. But you can see how it's all nice now. It's all perfectly sealed. It came out really good. Yeah, so that's all sealed up. Glad I changed my mind and went with the DeLorean gray grout instead of the other white grout, because this is nice and gray. It won't get dirty. It won't look yellow. Yeah, that's it. Finally done with the shower. Most of it. I mean, it can run right now and be fine. It's not going to leak. It's waterproof. Obviously, I want to do the top. It has to be the top. The top has to get done. Mandatory. Before I can actually use it. But I'm going to test it just how it is right now. Yeah, so I put these straps on here with the seat clamps, with those things from the seat belts. I cut the seat belts out of them and I use the clamps to put these 500-pound straps on them. They're 500-pound working load and they're 1,500-pound max load. So that tank, when it's full, is about 490 pounds. So it's got 1,000 pounds worth of strap on them. They can handle up to 3,000 pounds. That's totally fine. Overkill. Once the frame is bolted to the ground, that thing's not going anywhere. I'm going to shorten that up, like I said, so there's no stress on this pipe. You don't want to leave that long if you don't have to. You don't want this to be like wobbly. So I'm going to cut that in half. I just put that on there. Just now test fitting it. I'm going to cut that and then slide the tank up as close as I can get it to this copper connection. So there's barely any of this vertical, horizontal play in there. And then once that's done, I can, you know, put support brackets, whatever. But it's pretty solid right now as it is. I just don't want to leave it that long. It'll be much stronger. Yeah. So that's what it is, guys. It's still early in the day. I'm just making this video now because I'm probably gonna not be able to make a video at the end of this day. But yeah, so I'm really happy that all this is finally hooked up. It came out nice, I think. I mean, nice enough for someone that's not an electrician. But I mean, if you guys do this, just make sure you pay attention to your wire sizes and how many amps they can handle and things of that nature. Do your research. It took me a little while to actually understand, you know, how the solar system works, but I did my research and I read and read and read until I felt comfortable doing it. But this is definitely right. This is correct. So that's it. Good to go. Now I'm going to get on there on the roof and start mounting these solar brackets and get these panels up there today. So I'll give you a video tomorrow.